To rebound from this pandemic, there's still a really big need for our seniors because so many cannot go out for basic necessities. A local restaurant, though, is stepping up to help feed the need. Let's say good morning to Jade Jarvis. Good to see you, Jade. This program delivering thousands of meals across Cuyahoga County.
Yeah, that's right, Katie. Good morning. Black Box Fix has already delivered 10,000 hot free meals to seniors since the pandemic started. And over the next 6 months, they plan to increase that number to 100,000.
Chef-inspired gourmet meals from scratch.
Since the beginning of April, the staff at Black Box Fix, a Cleveland-based gourmet sandwich shop,
Tight seal on that.
have been providing those meals daily, using their own resources and doing their own outreach on social media.
We started to hear talks in the community, so we started to engage right away.
Then co-owner Larice Purnell says calls started pouring in from people needing meals delivered to their elderly parents and grandparents. The volume quickly growing to 1,000 a day, 10,000 over the last several weeks, and increasing still.
The Western Reserve Agency on Aging reached out to us about partnering to make sure that we could expand our efforts.
That partnership, meaning 100,000 meals will be delivered to seniors in underserved communities in Cuyahoga County over the next 6 months. Chef Eric Rogers says it's a big undertaking, but one they're equipped to handle.
We've been blessed to employ out-of-work chefs, people that are coming in that I'm mentoring and doing opportunities.
Helping the community in more ways than one.
It's really amazing just to see the smiles on their faces, and as we're walking away from the door, because we're social distancing as a part of this and being respectful to that and them and their health, they're just like, bye, can't wait to see you tomorrow.
Now, to sign up for the program, call the Western Reserve Area Agency on Aging. They'll ask you a couple of questions to see if you're a fit for the program and then get you on the schedule for meal delivery. We have all that information right now on our News 5 app. Live in Lyndhurst, Jade Jarvis, News 5.
Jade, what an awesome story to get us up and inspired this morning. Thank you so much for that. The artist behind Cleveland's Black Lives Matter mural says he's not going to let one person bring down the energy of thousands. On Monday night, someone vandalized the mural on East 93rd Street, writing several derogatory phrases inside the lettering. So now the artist says he's just going to paint over them so people can keep enjoying this mural.
They come every day, every night, even when it had rained. They was out here checking the mural out. See, it's like a history moment. This is just the start. We don't know where it's going to go.
Cleveland police are investigating the vandalism. East 93rd Street, by the way, will remain closed to traffic at the site of that mural until Monday. The Cleveland Metropolitan School District plans to take a closer look at some school names amid calls for racial equality. The announcement coming after Cleveland Councilman Kevin Conwell proposed renaming Patrick Henry School, saying Henry owned slaves. Conwell is suggesting the school be named in honor of Stephanie Tubbs Jones, Ohio's first African-American congresswoman. The Cleveland Museum of Natural History is ready to welcome back visitors today.
And we know you're so used to hearing this. We sound like a broken record, but you know, we got to let you know. Changes are happening. Visitors have to reserve tickets for a 2-hour time frame online, or you can do it over the phone on your way inside. There's going to be temperature scanner hidden in the face of a panda. They try to make it cute for you. Then you can enjoy all the exhibits, but it's a one-way traffic flow to help everyone keep their distance.
So you get to see all of the cool stuff of the museum, and you get to do so in a way where you're not bunched up with others, so you should feel very comfortable that you won't be crowded.
And everyone will be required to wear a mask, even when you're outside at the Perkins Wildlife exhibit. The chief wildlife officer says bobcats and otters are susceptible to the virus as well. All right, Trent, getting outside today, probably a good idea because we want to take in all the sunshine.
Oh, it's going to be so bright today. I've got that light northeast breeze. If you're on the lake, not bad. Again, a little bit on the choppy side a bit this afternoon, but shouldn't be too bad. Rocky River looking great. 60 in Ashtabula, 63 Worcester, 65 in Mansfield. I've got that light northeast breeze, and that's what's keeping our humidity tolerable. I mean, it's still hot. Don't get me wrong. It's still going to be hot again today. 83, 84 for a high. Inland again today, approaching 90 degrees. But in the next couple of days, looking back to yesterday and today, we're going to be wishing we had more of these mid-80s. I've got mid-90s on that 7-day.
It is 5:10 and coming up on Good Morning Cleveland, you want to do something normal like eating out. But how do you know what's safe? A former health inspector explains what to check out before you dine out. You're watching Good Morning Cleveland. We'll be right back.
The Wayne County Fair will no longer allow vendors to sell the Confederate flag. A statement on the Fair Board's website says the board carefully considered safety and security in making the decision. The board cites the recent renewed racial tensions across the country and said it would never condone acts that would cause unrest or harm to others. Confederate flags cannot be sold or displayed at the fair in September. And Mississippi is dropping the Confederate symbol from its state flag. The governor signed the bill retiring the flag the state has been using for more than 120 years. The decision was a reaction to the nationwide calls for equality. Mississippi was the last state to feature the Confederate insignia on its flag. A new reality check in the fight against COVID-19. The number of new cases in the United States has jumped by 80% in the past 2 weeks.
Dr. Anthony Fauci warns the death toll is going to be, quote, very disturbing. Here's ABC's Megan Terizian.
This morning, the nation's top doctors now warning that COVID cases could nearly triple in the coming days.
I would not be surprised if we go up to 100,000 a day if this does not turn around.
Dr. Anthony Fauci saying the current spread could leave the U.S. healthcare system in a dire situation.
I'm very concerned because it could get very bad.
The rapid spread already pushing testing sites to their limits. In Florida, one site in Orlando hit capacity only 30 minutes after opening.
There's not a lot of tools left in the kit for us. I think everybody declared a victory too early.
The rush for tests coming amid renewed calls for a statewide mask mandate.
Just wear the darn mask.
Florida's emergency management director tweeting out this message Tuesday, repeating the word masks 46 times. Meanwhile, 4th of July is set to be a beach bummer in Southern California, with coastlines, piers, and bike paths shut down in at least half a dozen counties. Infections are now rising in 35 states, with 17 states either pausing or rolling back reopenings and warning against large gatherings. It comes as New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut expand their quarantine list, now including visitors from California, Georgia, and 14 other states. Airlines flying into New York giving travelers from hotspots this form, asking them to self-quarantine for 14 days.
Megan Terizian, ABC News, San Diego.
And with just hours to spare, the Senate was able to pass an extension to the Paycheck Protection Program last night. That's the program providing aid to small businesses struggling under the pandemic. The program now lasts until August 8th. It would have expired with more than $130 million in funds left unused. The Senate passed the extension unanimously. Now the House needs to act. So many of us just want to get back to normal, and for a lot of you, that means you want to go out, have a nice dinner, sit down, and just look at someone cute across from you. But how can you be sure that a restaurant is taking all the proper precautions? It's a good question. Former health inspector believes certain food protocols should be followed when you're dining out. For example, everyone should be wearing a mask, and employees should be constantly cleaning, especially high-touch areas. She also says since restaurant inspections are public, you should look up how the restaurant performed before the pandemic hit.
If sanitation issues, hand washing and cleanliness were an issue before this ever started, chances are they're struggling to get up to compliance now.
Disposable menus are the safest, but if a restaurant hands you a reusable menu, they should be sanitizing that menu between each customer. And eating outside is probably safer than dining in because there have been cases of COVID-19 linked to air conditioning in restaurants. So a lot to keep in mind if you want to go dine in and have a bite to eat, Trent. But you may want to sit outside today and have a hot dog.
Patio,
How about that? How about
hot dog, yes. Makes me think of baseball season. All right, let's get to it. Pollen forecast, that's low. Everything's low, thankfully. Everything's very, really not bad realistically because it hasn't rained in a while and it's not going to rain for a while. So, well, things stop growing. Grasses are browning for sure. So, yeah, the pollen has been really shut down, which is good for any allergy sufferers. 63 degrees outside right now. Dew points are at 59. We've been talking a lot about that dew point. We've been talking a lot about the moisture in the air and how there's really not a ton. It actually feels pretty nice as far as the moisture content and the humidity. The heat's still up there, but we're in this tolerable, great to tolerable range, which is pretty fantastic for, well, July 1st and wrapping up June. It's not going to last. We're going to jump into that humid range. They're really going to start to rise once we get into the weekend. And there's really no relief after that. We're not even still talking rain once the humidity jumps up. I think temperatures next week could give us our first official heat wave of, 2020. That's several 90-degree days. Several 90-degree days in a row. Today for Cleveland, because we still have that light northeast breeze, we're still talking mid-80s. It's going to be hotter inland for sure. Still that dry air. I think some spots again today, 88 for Akron and Mansfield yesterday. I think you could do that or even a degree hotter today. So still going to be pushing near 90 degrees today. Now, it's all because of this cool or dry, should I say, flow coming from the north. That dry air, it cools down quickly. So in the mornings, we've got some fantastic temperatures. Where it's a little more humid, you've got those 70s still hanging on. But because it is so dry outside, we can drop and we can recover at night. During the day, though, dry air cools off fast, but it also heats up just as fast. So by 9 o'clock, 70s. By noon, I've got mid-80s highs today, middle and upper 80s. The humidity rises the rest of this week. Wait till you see the 7-day forecast, guys.
Well, we're coming up on 5:20. Dress for Success Cleveland has helped so many in our community by providing free business clothes, job training, and also career advice to women.
Such an important service, but now that nonprofit needs the community's help. It's one of many in Northeast Ohio struggling during the pandemic. The executive director, Melanie Butler, says ALASA funding has cut the team to just 2 people now, and their big fundraisers have been canceled. Butler says it's difficult asking for help. She knows when so many others are in need. But one client is hoping the plea for help reaches the right people because she knows personally just how important this nonprofit is.
People don't know how much this really helps women's lives, and it really helped me a lot.
So you can find out how you can help Dress for Success Cleveland survive the pandemic right now on the News 5 app.
This is pretty interesting. It opens the lines of communication because scientists have developed a new glove that translates sign language into speech in real time. The goal is to help deaf people communicate without a translator. The glove has sensors to identify words and letters in American Sign Language. Then it sends signals to an app that translates them into spoken words.
Up next, got any spare change? The answer is probably likely no. Why America is facing this shortage, how it's getting worse and affecting us here at home.
Good morning, it is 5:23. The coin shortage that we told you about last month is only getting worse.
Yeah, the coronavirus is disrupting the flow of coins. With so many people staying home rather than out spending, businesses are running low on pennies, nickels, dimes, and quarters, and banks are struggling to replenish the sudden short supply. The Federal Reserve has said it is monitoring the situation.
And Katie, according to Cleveland.com, the shortage is hitting us here at home. Retailers like Meijer have started temporarily limiting the use of cash in its stores to help offset the coin shortage. Right now, its self-checkout machines are limited to credit or debit cards. One Lowe's store outside of Akron even posted a sign asking people to use exact change.
JCPenney lost nearly $500 million in 3 months. The company says that's 40% more than what they had warned investors about 3 weeks prior. JCPenney has been struggling for years now and hasn't actually been profitable since 2010. But the company expects to stay in business since filing for bankruptcy and plans to close about 250 stores, including locations in Akron, Ashtabula, and Parma. All right, let's get you over to Trent with a look at the forecast outside. Feeling all of summer today.
All right, and wait till you see the 7-day. Check this out. Next 3 days, 84, 87, 89. Hold on. Let's roll this out to 7 days. It gets even hotter. 88, 89, 92, 93. Possible, I don't know whether there's a percentage assigned after that, but possible maybe at the end of the 7-day forecast. I really don't have any great shots for rain. That's like a hope potentially. The models are hinting at maybe a couple storms on Tuesday. Until then, we are dry, hot, and those mornings warm up. So it gets pretty relentless, guys. It's going to get hot.
All right, summertime is here. Coming up next on Good Morning Cleveland, just how far does your sneeze travel? The answer may leave you queasy, and researchers here in Cleveland now know how big a difference a mask can make. But as we head to break, here's a look at last night's winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Welcome back to Good Morning Cleveland on News 5.
Now at 5:30, Ohio keeping it cutting edge. The new technology being developed in Cleveland to help better protect healthcare workers fighting the coronavirus.
Night after night of booming explosions in the sky, Clevelanders are fed up with illegal fireworks, and the city council is ready to step up enforcement.
And a new exhibit roaring into the Cleveland Metro Park Zoo today. We're there live for you to show you the towering dinos that are taking over the zoo. Stomp, stomp, stomp. Good morning. Thanks for being here with us. I'm Katie Houston.
And I'm Danita Harris. July has definitely arrived, and it is bringing the heat, and that's a capital H. Here's Trent McGill with your steamy forecast.
Ooh, you ready for it? You ready for this July? July's going to kick off with a whole lot of heat. June ended with a whole lot of warmth, but nothing compared to what July is coming to town with. I still have this very light flow coming out of the northeast. That's keeping our humidity tolerable. It's manageable. It's hot. Don't get me wrong, but it's doable. Once we get beyond this little pattern we have here with this light north breeze and those winds shift around a bit, the humidity is going to skyrocket. Our mornings aren't going to be nearly as comfortable, and our afternoons are going to feel much worse, more serious heat. 65 in Akron, 63 in Cleveland, 61 in Medina right now. We're in the 60s for the most part. It really doesn't feel too bad outside. We warm it up again just like yesterday, almost identical. Mid 80s along the lakeshore, near 90 inland. But these next few days, the humidity comes back and temperatures soar into the 90s. I'll show you that coming up.
A lot of heat. Thank you, Trent. University Hospitals is taking the fight against COVID-19 to new heights. They just partnered with the NASA Glenn Research Center.
Yeah, together they're collaborating on new methods to decontaminate personal protective equipment. News 5's Jade Jarvis is live this morning to explain, Jade, what they've already come up with.
Well, that team of researchers have recently tested 2 new methods that would help healthcare workers sanitize masks on site and safely reuse them. Now, those 2 methods are using atomic oxygen and peracetic acid. Atomic oxygen, also called the ozone method, can remove organic materials that can't be easily cleaned in other ways. Researchers with NASA create atomic oxygen by putting ozone into a chamber and heating it. The ozone then decomposes into atomic oxygen and can kill things like viruses. Back in May, early testing results confirmed the method works, but more testing is needed to see if it can be used to sanitize PPE multiple times without damaging it. Peracetic acid is a chemical disinfectant commonly used in the healthcare, food, and water treatment industries. Researchers from UH found that it's very effective in killing 99.9% of viruses and bacteria from contaminated N95 masks for up to 5 cleaning cycles. They believe it's the fastest way to decontaminate large numbers of N95 masks. Now, officials say test results for both of these methods are promising. Now, for the atomic oxygen method, it is being evaluated right now. And as for the peracetic acid method, the Food and Drug Administration is currently reviewing it to see if it's okay for emergency use authorization. Reporting live, Jade Jarvis, News 5.
All right, Jade, thank you. With COVID-19 cases on the rise, there's a continued plea for people to wear face coverings to help slow the spread of the disease. Now there's a new study with details about which kind of face coverings offer the most protection. The researchers used a fog machine to simulate droplets from things like coughs or sneezes. We talked to Dr. Mark Cameron from Case Western Reserve University, who says it shows just how effective masks really can be, but also highlighted the fact that they're not foolproof, so other precautions are still important.
If you have a mask on, it's not a perfect shield. You still have to keep your distance from people. You still have to avoid large gatherings.
All right, so this study, the video you see here, it shows droplets from coughing or sneezing can go about 8 feet. Wearing a bandana cuts that down to about 3 feet. But in a stitched cotton mask, the droplets may only make it just a few inches. So again, it makes a difference for yourself and others. Akron Children's Hospital wants to make it safer for patients to check in. Our partners at the Akron Beacon Journal are reporting there's now a mobile check-in service letting patients confirm their arrival and then go wait in their vehicles until it's time to see the doc. Once you do get the go-ahead to come on inside, you will go to the Welcome Center or the front desk.
People living in Cleveland say the use of illegal fireworks has gotten way out of control, and city leaders agree. We found homeowner complaints to police in June were up 600% compared to the same time last year. Some Cleveland council members are urging police to better enforce the city nuisance law and state law that could earn an illegal fireworks user up to 6 months in jail and a $1,000 fine.
Is amped up. What used to be able to buy at the local corner store some sparklers and a few skyrockets and some Roman candles, now we're talking about these M500s that sound like dynamite.
Cleveland Council member Michael Pollen is calling on the new city safety director to step up enforcement with the July 4th weekend just a few days away. And the holiday weekend may have you headed to the park for a little fun in the sun. And Cleveland Metro Parks warns it is expecting huge crowds. People could even be turned away from popular spots like Edgewater Park, Euclid Beach, and Wildwood. The CEO is asking everyone to consider less trafficked areas.
So there's really something for you to go do. Challenge yourself, put the Metro Parks map, throw a dart at it, and go to a new reservation wherever it lands. We've got some signage out there, but just be respectful.
Cleveland Metro Parks also says more visitors means more trash. Leave with anything you bring into the park and bring a trash bag from home to help the park's limited staff keep it clean for everyone to enjoy. The Cleveland Metro Park Zoo is going to start feeling a little prehistoric today.
Yeah, while you're out there checking out the lions, the tigers, and bears, you can add some dinosaurs to the list too, Danita. Let's get out to Jessie Schultz. She's live at the zoo with more on what the roar is all about. Hi, Jessie.
Hi, yeah, it's the opening day of the Dinosaurs Around the World exhibit. So in addition to all the animals that you're used to seeing, the lions, the giraffes, you can now take a trip to see some of these guys, the ones who ruled the land well before our time. The exhibit features about 20 huge animatronic dinosaurs, including everyone's favorite, the T-Rex, stretching more than 2 stories high. Kids can get the chance to walk to the world's continents and learn about what dinosaurs thrived where. Zoo officials say they have been planning the Dinosaur Around the World exhibit for about a year. And though COVID has pushed back the opening date, once they were given the green light to open up the zoo, they made sure they could open up the dino exhibit too. But things are still different here. Right now, the zoo is at 25% capacity. There will be frequent cleaning. Some indoor exhibits are closed and most exhibits are one way. But zoo officials say that will not take away from the excitement.
I think it's the scale, I think it's the ferocity, I think it's the size and the just unusual appeal. We don't really know. So coming here and seeing some of these dinosaurs, you'll see dinosaurs with feathers, which is not something that I learned about as a kid. So it's really interesting, great opportunity for learning for the kids and just really fun.
Okay, so since the zoo is working at a limited capacity, you are encouraged to make a reservation. The Dinosaurs exhibit is a $3 addition to your general admissions ticket if you're not a member, and $2 if you are a member. And there are still tickets for today, the opening day. This exhibit will go from now until Labor Day. Live at the zoo, Jessie Schultz, News 5.
Okay, kids are going to be clamoring to that. That looks so fun. Jessie, thank you. Coming up next year on Good Morning Cleveland, a beacon of hope on the side of the street. The plan to make these utility boxes look a little less ordinary and make some hope. And people hoping how it could spark some change for the neighborhood.
All right, it's 5:40 on our Wednesday morning. Ashtabula looking beautiful this morning, looking fantastic. We're going to keep that really nice looking morning all morning, and into the afternoon it's just going to turn blue. It's just going to, that sky is just going to be wide open. Oh man, 60 right now in Ashtabula, 63 in Worcester, 65 in Mansfield. Really nice start to the day. A little bit warmer, a couple degrees warmer than it was yesterday morning. And today, right where we were yesterday, mid-80s for Cleveland and anybody along the lake shore, near 90 Akron, anybody inland off the lake. Very warm, it's going to be hot, and it's only going to get hotter from here on out. Get ready for it.
Let's get your Wednesday started off with some good news. This 10-year-old girl in North Dakota treated the Grand Forks Police Department to dinner. Lexus raised $10,000 from a recent lemonade stand. She says she wanted to do something nice for the force after hearing about the death of an officer who was shot in the line of duty. This is believed to be the first tribal-owned movie studio in the United States. A tribe in New Mexico has converted its former casino north of Santa Fe into a campus called the Camel Rock Studios. It has more than 25,000 square feet of filming space and more than 17,000 acres outside. Movie production has been on hold because of the coronavirus pandemic, but they say they have had a lot of requests and interest to reserve space once things reopen. Thousands of Czechs celebrated the end of most COVID-19 restrictions with a dinner in Prague. Look at this, a table running the length of the Gothic Charles Bridge was filled with traditional dishes like carp and dumplings. Now, most pandemic restrictions are being lifted in Prague today, with the exception of mandatory face coverings on public transportation and in groups of more than 100 people. Hey, keep it right here. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Cleveland. It is 5:45, and starting today, one of Cleveland's busiest corridors will get a new look. A handful of utility boxes around East 55th Street will be covered with artwork. In this News 5 original, Kevin Barry explains how the project brings an important message at an important time for the people who live nearby.
The idea from Midtown Cleveland is simple. Take an ugly but necessary utility box and use it to help pick up the whole community around it.
The first thing that art does is revitalizes the area.
That's why Antoine Washington is excited to be one of a handful of black artists creating new artwork to cover these old boxes organized by Midtown Cleveland. The artwork will be stationary, but he hopes the inspiration it creates flows through the entire, mostly black community nearby.
There's too much action over here.
Sharon Anderson lives up the block, and she says for the young kids who live nearby, empty lots, rundown and abandoned buildings don't offer a better place to be.
So this one will be the one with Toni Morrison and Ruby Dee.
That's why Antoine says he hopes his message lands with young kids growing up in that tough environment.
You never know who's going to drive past. You never know who's going to take a liking to that certain message and that certain type of art. You never know.
And at a moment when the United States is having a national conversation about the Black Lives Matter movement and racial equality, Antoine wants to spark curiosity in Cleveland's black community about its own history. His two pieces of art feature Langston Hughes, Carl Stokes, and Toni Morrison, famous black figures who were also tied to Northeast Ohio.
Hey, you have greatness that literally walk these exact same streets you walk.
In Cleveland, I'm Kevin Barry, News 5.
There's been a nearly $19 million settlement for the women who were sexually abused, harassed, and discriminated against by Harvey Weinstein. The New York Attorney General's office filed this civil rights suit back in 2018 against the now imprisoned former movie mogul and his company. As part of the agreement, the women are also released from confidentiality and non-disclosure agreements, meaning they can share their stories without fear of retribution. Now, bankruptcy and district courts must sign off on this settlement. Right now, in the midst of the coronavirus pandemic, there are new concerns of another possible outbreak. A new strain of the swine flu that can spread from pigs to humans has been discovered in China. Researchers are calling this one the G4 virus and say it comes from the H1N1 swine flu. You remember that, it caused the 2009 outbreak. Now, they warn it could be a disaster if it starts spreading alongside COVID-19. But they say it is not a global threat right now.
While there is yet no report of human-to-human contact, there is reason for concern.
Experts say it's something we certainly need to keep an eye on, but again, they say it is not an immediate threat.
Well, American Airlines was blasted at a Senate hearing Tuesday because of its decision to stop blocking middle seats for the sake of social distancing. The airline is making the change today. The CDC director says he doesn't think it's the right message right now. And Dr. Anthony Fauci told senators the lack of social distancing on planes is worrisome, and adding the spread of the virus could become even more problematic. Now, Alaska Airlines has a new policy as well. Wear a mask or fly with someone else. Flight attendants are now allowed to issue final notices to anyone refusing to cover their face on a flight. The notice comes in the form of a yellow card, and if you get one, you could be suspended from flying. Every passenger will have to sign a health agreement promising to adhere to the mask policy before boarding. A lot of people might be counting down to their retirement right now. That doesn't mean they're ready to enter that next chapter sooner rather than later. But that's what's happening to a lot of older workers in the U.S. as companies are forced to downsize during the pandemic. Many companies are offering early retirement packages.